In a moment that stunned the world, King Charles III has publicly addressed the darkest and most controversial chapter of his life, his troubled marriage to Princess Diana. 4 decades, the story of their union, full of heartbreak and public scrutiny, has been one of the most talked about sagas in royal history. Now, in a candid interview, the king has shed new light on the emotional turmoil and personal struggles that lay beneath the surface of the fairy tale that captivated millions. This extraordinary confession has reignited global conversations, forcing both royal enthusiasts and critics to reconsider the truth behind the headlines. The marriage between Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer, celebrated as a fairy tale, was nothing short of a global event. Their 1981 wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral was broadcast to millions, with Diana becoming an instant icon of beauty and grace. For many, it seemed as though the couple had it all: youth, charm, and the promise of a happy future together. Yet, as King Charles has revealed, the reality was far from the dream many had imagined. Charles himself admitted that from the very beginning, their union was one shaped more by duty than by love. It was a marriage designed to fulfill expectations, not desires, he said, his voice tinged with regret. The weight of tradition, the responsibility of the crown, it all took its toll. In his own words, Charles reflected on the pressures of being heir to the throne, which added immense strain to his personal life. I never had the chance to truly discover myself outside of my role. Everything I did was for the monarchy, for the people. There was little room for personal happiness. Diana, too, had her own perspective. In her personal diaries, which were unearthed years after her tragic death, she recounted the isolation and disillusionment she felt in her marriage. I thought that love would grow over time, but instead, I felt more and more alone, she wrote. Traditionally, a honeymoon is a time for newlyweds to bond and begin their married life in peace. But for Charles and Diana, their honeymoon was anything but a romantic escape. Shortly after their lavish wedding, the couple set off on a Mediterranean tour, hoping to begin their life together. However, instead of growing closer, the emotional divide between them became more pronounced. Charles, ever the dedicated royal, immersed himself in his books during their time on the royal yacht Britannia. Diana, on the other hand, felt abandoned and misunderstood. She later wrote in her diary, "I was expecting to share intimate moments with my husband, but instead, I found myself alone, reading books, while he continued with his royal duties." For Diana, this marked the beginning of a long period of emotional pain. "I had been brought up to believe that marriage was built on love, but with Charles, I quickly realized that it was about duty, appearances, and sacrifice," she said in an interview years later. Even before their wedding, there were signs of tension between Charles and Diana. The couple's engagement interview, held in 1981, was one of the first public indications of the emotional rift between them. When asked if they were in love, Diana's enthusiastic response, "Yes, of course," was met with a much cooler reply from Charles, "Whatever in love means." This comment, while seemingly innocent, deeply affected Diana. In her private journal, she recalled the moment with sorrow. "That comment shattered me. It made me question everything. Was he even capable of loving me? Did he truly want to be with me?" The public response to the interview only fueled the growing tension. The world watched as the fairytale romance slowly crumbled under the weight of royal expectations and personal disappointments. In a stroke of fate, the world would later gain access to the most intimate reflections of Princess Diana, hidden away for decades in a drawer at Kensington Palace. These diaries, which Diana had kept throughout her marriage, provided an unfiltered account of her inner turmoil. In one particularly heart-wrenching entry, she wrote, "I feel trapped. I am living a lie, pretending to be something I'm not. The world sees a perfect couple, but behind closed doors, it's a different story." Diana's writings paint a picture of a woman deeply hurt by her husband's emotional neglect and the suffocating pressures of royal life. Despite the pain she endured, Diana's devotion to her sons, William and Harry, remained unwavering. Her diaries revealed how much she relied on them for comfort. "My children are my reason for living," she wrote. "They are the light in the darkness, and I would be lost without them." As their marriage deteriorated, both Charles and Diana found solace in extramarital relationships. Charles rekindled his romance with Camilla Parker Bowles, a woman he had loved long before Diana entered his life. Diana, too, sought comfort in her own relationships, leading to even more public scrutiny and media frenzy. Their separation in 1992 was followed by a divorce in 1996, but the emotional scars of their union would linger for years to come. Diana's tragic death in 1997 only served to deepen the public's fascination with her life and the royal family's inner workings. Princess Diana's death was a moment of profound loss, not just for her family, but for the world. The outpouring of grief from the public was overwhelming, with millions mourning the loss of the people's princess. Her death prompted a reassessment of the royal family's relationship with the public and their ability to connect with ordinary people. Diana's legacy endures to this day, through her children, her charity work, and the way she redefined the role of the modern royal. Her influence can still be felt in the actions of her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who continue her work with mental health advocacy and charitable endeavors. In the years since his divorce from Diana, King Charles has undergone a transformation. Now, as the reigning monarch, he has begun to reflect more openly on his past, acknowledging the mistakes and missteps that defined his early life. "I regret how things turned out," Charles confessed. "But I have learned from those experiences, and I hope that by sharing my story, I can offer a message of hope and healing to others." By finally speaking out about his troubled marriage, King Charles has not only provided a rare glimpse into the complexities of royal life, but he has also humanized himself in the eyes of the public. His honesty has sparked new conversations about the pressures of duty, the sacrifices made for the crown, and the personal cost of living a life under constant scrutiny. As the monarchy moves forward, the revelations from King Charles's interview have undoubtedly left a lasting impact. The British royal family is now navigating a new era, one where transparency and personal stories are becoming more central to their public image. While the monarchy's traditional values of duty and service remain at the heart of their role, the personal lives of its members are now more open to the public eye than ever before. In the wake of King Charles's admission, the royal family faces a more complex and multifaceted future. The relationship between the monarchy and the British public has evolved, with many calling for greater transparency and accountability. The revelations about Charles and Diana's marriage are just one part of a larger conversation about the role of the royal family in the modern world. Through it all, King Charles's confession serves as a reminder that behind the regal facade, the royal family is made up of individuals with their own personal struggles and challenges. As the world watches, it remains to be seen how these revelations will shape the future of the monarchy and the legacy of King Charles III.